tonight up in flames.
Pretty sad, pretty disgusted, actually.
What we know about a pair of overnight arsons, including one that was caught on camera. Also tonight, big payments from Big Tobacco.
It's certainly an important day. We wish it hadn't come to this.
How much Manitoba is set to receive in the multi-billion-dollar settlement. Plus, the end of an era.
It's sad. It bothers me in some ways.
How the owner of a local heritage museum hopes someone is able to carry on his legacy.
CTV News. Live from downtown Winnipeg with Marilee Caruso.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm John Hendricks. Marilee is away. Most activities at a Winnipeg soccer club have been stopped in their tracks because of a suspected arson. On Thursday morning, a covered bench was burned to the ground. The blaze caught on the club's video surveillance. CTV's Jeff Keel joins us now live. So, Jeff, what's left of the bench?
Yeah, not much of anything. I'm actually standing right now, John, in a hole shaped like a rectangle because this is where that bench used to be, but crews cleaned everything away today. What was here before was a charred mess. And it wasn't the only thing that was damaged. Take a look over here. The turf that's usually green is actually charcoal black. A large glow can be seen in this security video as this fully covered bench burns at the Bonifatel Soccer Club. All that remains now is this charred mess.
I think this has a real negative impact, again, selfishly just not on our players, but throughout the St. Patel, St. Boniface community.
It happened early Thursday morning. The club's surveillance video captured 5 individuals walking onto the soccer pitch. One of them is even carrying a soccer ball. After the fire starts, they stand and watch the flames destroy the bench. Police say this is being investigated as a suspected arson.
They started out with a small fire on the field and then just started going around and grabbing what they could to continue to throw onto the fire to make it bigger and bigger and until that happened.
And it's not just the bench that's been damaged. A portion of the turf is charcoal black. The club is hoping to have a fix in a week or two. In the meantime, there is an impact. The club says training and programs were canceled Thursday night, and most as well on Friday.
We have lost a little bit of revenue in terms of rentals from some leagues and things like that. But yeah, I mean, for us, it's impacted our community and our players the most.
This fire is upsetting for players and parents.
Pretty sad, pretty disgusted, actually.
Grandparent Brenda Igmanson surveyed the damage on Friday.
When you come and you see this, it's just so disappointing that kids have to get to this, or vandals or whoever had to do this to make a statement of something.
The kicker to all of this, the $25,000 covered bench, which is supposed to look like this, was paid for with a grant from the provincial government just a year and a half ago.
Which makes it even worse. It was a long process to apply through that.
Now, the club says the hope is to have a permanent bench replacement here for next summer. Police say no arrests have been made.
All right, thanks, Jeff. Meantime, another arson gutted a live music venue in the Exchange District early this morning. The city says crews were sent to the Exchange Event Center around 5 o'clock this morning. It was declared under control about an hour and a half later, but not before doing some serious damage. The interior appears completely black, and sun could be seen coming through the ceiling. It's also known as the Old Sanford Building and Ma's Garage, and is a recognized historical building constructed in 1890.
Devastation. Very, very sad that this can happen again so soon after something so heartbreaking with Johnny G's. But on its own, it was still very disheartening to hear that this again is happening early in the morning, where really no one is out to see anything of what's happening.
A developer currently has plans to add a 9-story addition with 114 housing units on top of the building. No injuries were reported in the blaze. The Major Crimes Unit is investigating. Billions of dollars from tobacco companies are starting to flow into provincial and territorial coffers. Now, this comes after the $32.5 billion settlement made in March, requiring 3 major tobacco companies to pay billions to provinces, territories, and former smokers looking to recoup smoking-related health care costs. On Friday, the initial payments were expected to begin. Standing by with more details is CTV's Danton Unger. So, Dan, do we know how much money Manitoba will be receiving as part of this settlement?
Well, based on estimates in the settlement decision, the province could receive a total of $1.1 billion, which includes an estimated initial payment of $280 million. Now, we reached out to the province to find out exactly how much Manitoba is set to receive, and we were told that number is still being finalized and will be reported to the public next month. Now, as for what the province will be doing with the money, the Premier has previously said the payout would fund cancer treatment and the building of a new Cancer Care Manitoba headquarters. But the Manitoba Tobacco Reduction Alliance has been calling for at least some of the money to go towards prevention efforts, specifically for youth.
We would like to see that here in Manitoba and work in an innovative and strategic manner because we know that early intervention saves lives and that treatment later is not the answer, but certainly we need to continue to invest and spend on treating people that have been already harmed by these products.
We reached out for a comment from Premier Wabkanu, but we were told he was not available today.
So, Dan, does this settlement provide any funds for individuals who are impacted by tobacco illnesses?
Yeah, it does, John. Cynthia Carr with the Manitoba Tobacco Reduction Alliance says certain people may be eligible if they've dealt with tobacco-related illnesses, including lung and throat cancers and COPD. She says there is a list of criteria in order to be eligible. She says you should visit the Tobacco Claims Canada website to learn more.
Thanks, Danton. A Northern First Nation is suing Manitoba Hydro, saying it has left the community isolated. The lawsuit was filed by York Factory First Nation, a community nearly 700 kilometers north of Winnipeg, accessible only by a winter road, boat, or plane. The claim alleges Hydro is intentionally creating artificially low water levels on Split Lake, levels that are so low a provincial ferry can't operate. First Nation leaders say the community has had to rely on expensive charter flights and freight boats for supplies. The claim seeks a court injunction ordering Hydro to release more water into Split Lake so that the ferry can operate. Hydro declined to comment, saying the matter is before the courts. Now, the Crown Corporation has previously stated it's helping York Factory First Nation by providing boats to help transport people and supplies. No statement of defense has been filed as of Friday, and none of the allegations in the claim have been tested in court. The 4th floor of the Millennium Library is expected to reopen Tuesday with some new safety features in place. The city says temporary fencing will be going up on the 3rd and 4th floors over the weekend. It will be there until something permanent is put in place. Now, this all comes after 2 incidents in recent weeks, one involving a man in distress and another in which a man died. As we head into the Labor Day long weekend, here's a look at what's open and what's closed on the holiday Monday. Winnipeg Transit will be operating on a Sunday schedule. Public libraries will be closed Sunday and Monday, and will be switching to winter hours on Tuesday. Recycling, garbage, and yard waste will be collected as normal. All indoor pools and fitness and leisure centers will be closed, but most outdoor pools and spray pads will remain open. Liquor marts in Winnipeg and Brandon will be open from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Monday, except for the True North Square location. Rural LC hours vary. And finally, most major Winnipeg malls will be open from 11 to 6. You can head to our website, ctvnewswinnipeg.ca, for more details. The annual Sikh procession is coming to downtown Winnipeg this weekend, and with it, a few road closures. The city says Memorial Boulevard will be closed between York Avenue and Broadway from 7 a.m. Saturday to 7 p.m. Sunday. Several of the surrounding streets will be closed at different points on Sunday, including sections of York Avenue, Gary Street, Broadway, and northbound Osborne. You can check the City of Winnipeg's lane closures map online to see the exact location and timing of these closures. CTV weather specialist Colleen Brady joins us now with a first look at your Skywatch evening forecast. And boy, it was a hot one today.
Well, it's funny. We're just talking about spray pads being open this long weekend. That I think we can easily wrap our heads around. But you also mentioned winter hours starting in another instance. That's a little tougher to imagine, although it won't be too long now before temperatures will start to cool off. But they won't this long weekend. No, they're only going to heat up. As warm as it's been across almost all of Manitoba today, it's going to get even hotter. So much so that Environment Canada has issued heat warnings for parts of central and northern Manitoba. Yes, it will be very warm here in the south, but what's required to trigger a heat warning isn't quite as high. The threshold isn't quite as high for these areas, but make no mistake, it's going to be sweltering for parts of northern Manitoba as well. I'll show you how hot it's going to get around Manitoba and when the temperatures are going to change and the conditions as well. Let's take a look right now, though, first through the Bathfitter Live Eye. Bathfitter, your bath and shower experts for more than 40 years. In Winnipeg right now, it is 28 degrees. It feels even hotter, around 33 with the humidex. Light winds out of the southwest. The pressure is dropping and the humidity right now, John, is 48%.
Thanks, Colleen. Manitoba's police watchdog has cleared an officer in the shooting of a man in the middle of rush hour traffic last summer. Police were initially called about a man who had tried to set the gas tank of a truck on fire before walking into traffic at Notre Dame and Arlington Street carrying a knife. The officer and his partner said they attempted to use their tasers and pepper spray, but neither were effective. And when the man lunged at them, he fired a single shot. The report says that is corroborated by witnesses and video surveillance. The man who was shot confirmed most of the details, but maintains he only pulled out the knife after police drew their weapons first. He also said that he had consumed meth before the incident. RCMP are asking for help finding a man they say was behind the wheel of a vehicle involved in a fatal crash last fall. The collision on Highway 16, some 25 kilometers northwest of Prairie last November, claimed the life of a 50-year-old Winnipeg woman. Mounties allege her vehicle was struck head-on by an SUV that had crossed over the center line. The person in the other vehicle was treated at hospital and released. Investigators are now searching for 48-year-old Kevin Maida-Washing of Winnipeg. He's facing charges including impaired driving causing death and unauthorized possession of a firearm. He's believed to be in Winnipeg. Anyone with information is asked to contact Portage RCMP or Crime Stoppers. The City of Thompson is honoring missing and murdered Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit people. Today, MKO held a ceremony to unveil a monument at Thompson City Hall. The metal figure of a woman in front of an ornate set of wings is meant to honor missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls and Two-Spirit people.
This monument is a place of remembrance. It is a place where we can come to honor the lives of our sisters, our mothers, our daughters, our aunties, and our Two-Spirit and gender diverse relatives who were taken from us too soon.
The day began with a pipe ceremony, a blessing of the sacred site, and smudging. There were also speakers, reflections, and cultural presentations, followed by a community feast. The province has just announced the annual rent guideline for 2026. Landlords will be able to raise rents by as much as 1.8% as of January 1st. Now, there are some exceptions, such as units already renting for more than $1,670 per month or for social housing. Tenants must receive notice at least 3 months in advance and have 60 days before the new rate takes effect to make a complaint to the Residential Tenancies Board. A man who claims he was beaten up after trying to steal a car at a Winnipeg grocery store is now suing the staff there. 36-year-old Michael Prince is seeking an unspecified amount in damages against Dino's Food Mart, an owner and 8 employees. In court documents, Prince says the amount of force used against him was excessive, and he was left with skull fractures, PTSD, and now suffers permanent hearing and vision impairment. The lawsuit says Prince first stole a jacket with a key fob from the store, then triggered the car's alarm when he tried to make off with the vehicle. That's when, he alleges, employees rushed outside, dragged him from the vehicle, and punched and kicked him and hit him in the head with a hammer. None of the claims have been tested in court, and no statements of defense have been filed. CTV News has reached out to Dino's and Prince's lawyer for comment. We are still awaiting a response. A roadside museum just off the Trans-Canada Highway is saying goodbye. Pete's Centre Canada Heritage Museum has been a project for the owner, Pierre Pelland, but as CTV's Harrison Shin shows you, he's moving on to the next chapter of his life.
It's a potato digger. Once you got your hills, you pull it behind a tractor, or if you got...
Pete's Centre Canada Heritage Museum has been open for about 14 years.
It features heritage farming equipment predating 1950. It's my hobby, and I wanted to create something and give back to the community. Well, the KC, I paid $1,200 for it.
Pelland purchased most of the equipment with his own money, and that's getting harder to do.
It's getting to a point where the new equipment, I can't afford it for maintenance. So time to turn the page.
Pelland has decided the museum will have to close.
It's because, in all honesty, my health is a part of it. And the next investment for this property for me to have gone forward, the funding would have been a little bit hard on my circumstances. It's sad. It bothers me in some ways. But, you know, it's time to venture off in my next part of my life.
He's not the only one who's going to miss having the museum open.
I had a phone call from a woman. She said she had been here several times, and she actually started crying that I was getting to shut it down. And it choked me up a little bit as well.
Pelland is hoping someone can continue the legacy. He's offered several pieces to the nearby Centre of Canada Park, which is run by the arm of Taché.
It's up in the air right now.
Either way, the museum will be a memory he will cherish.
I loved it, the whole process of developing and showing it to people. I loved meeting all sorts of people. I loved giving back to the community.
The last day of operation is September 15th. Harrison Shin, CTV News, arm of Taché.
CTV News reached out to the RM of Taché to see if they plan to take the contents of the museum. We have not yet heard back. Now, still ahead, Canada's economy contracted in the second quarter as U.S. tariffs continue to make an impact.
This is not a good picture for Canada and what's happening here.
We'll take a deeper look at the numbers and which industries were most affected when we return. Compensation for Manitoba workers rose at a faster rate than most of the country in the second quarter of 2025. Now, that's according to Statistics Canada, which found on average, Manitobans are earning 0.9% more than they were in the first 3 months of the year. That's behind only the Yukon and Alberta, which well outpaced the 0.2% national average. Quebec was the only province where workers are earning less on average than they were earlier this year. And taking a look at the markets now, crude oil dropped 59 cents. The loonie rose slightly. Gold gained $41. The TSX climbed 129 points. The Dow Jones lost 92, and the Nasdaq fell 249 points. A 62-year-old man is dead following a two-vehicle crash in the RM of St. Clements. It happened yesterday morning at the intersection of Highway 4 and Provincial Road 508. A pickup truck was headed north on Highway 4. RCMP allege another vehicle traveling on 508 failed to stop at a stop sign and hit the pickup. The driver of the vehicle, a 62-year-old man from Scantlebury, was pronounced dead at the scene. The driver of the pickup truck wasn't injured. Unifor says it's preparing to fight to save nearly 200 jobs set to be lost as the maker of Crown Royal closes its plant in Amherstburg, Ontario. Spirits maker Diageo says operations at its bottling plant will stop early next year, and it's shifting some of that volume to the United States. The company says the move is aimed at improving its North American supply chain and is not related to American tariffs. A spokesperson says Crown Royal will continue to be mashed, distilled, and blended and aged in Canada. Unifor said the decision to close the plant makes no sense and shows no loyalty to Canadian workers. Well, some troubling economic news for Canada. New numbers show a key measure of the country's economic health isn't looking as healthy as economists had hoped. CTV's Kamal Kamermali has been crunching the numbers and gives us a glimpse on what's behind the blow to Canada's GDP.
After months of being assaulted by U.S. tariffs and battered by the ongoing trade war, Canada now showing major cracks in the armor.
This is not a good picture for Canada and what's happening here.
Canada's economy contracted in the second quarter much more than expected, shrinking by 1.6% on an annualized basis. It's the first quarterly contraction in nearly 2 years and the steepest decline since the pandemic.
Essentially, the big change was in the first quarter, we had a rush to get exports out into the U.S. as quickly as possible. In the second quarter, that all came to a halt as some of these tariffs started to take effect.
U.S. President Donald Trump ramped up tariffs against Canada and the world that quarter, targeting steel, aluminum, and autos. While April, May, and June then saw a sharp drop-off in business investment by roughly 10%.
The depth of decline that we're seeing in the manufacturing sector is something that we haven't seen in many years. And so it is a cause for concern.
Vehicle exports plummeting nearly 25%, industrial machinery exports and travel services also falling drastically. In fact, Canada saw an unprecedented trade deficit in the second quarter, with a big gap between its minimal exports versus its massive amount of imports. The difference between the two, a whopping $19.6 billion in goods and services.
Well, guess what's happening in the middle of a trade war with the U.S.? We're exporting substantially less stuff to our major trade partner.
All of it raising fears of a recession, which economists say Canada would be in if the GDP sees another decline in the third quarter of this year.
We need to be a little bit more cautious, and that caution, of course, feeds into the economy.
The latest GDP figures putting a sharper focus on the Bank of Canada and whether it'll make an interest rate cut in mid-September. Kamal Karamali, CTV News, Toronto.
Kamala Harris has lost her Secret Service protection. As a former vice president, Harris was entitled to 6 months of protection after leaving office. Former President Joe Biden had extended that protection for an additional year. Donald Trump has now reversed that. Harris had reportedly faced increased security concerns after she became the Democratic Party's presidential nominee in 2024. Israel has declared Gaza City a dangerous combat zone as it begins the initial stages of a planned offensive that's drawn international condemnation. Israel's military says it's focusing on the outskirts of the city, and the push into Gaza City is aimed at dismantling Hamas. Officials said the bodies of 2 Israeli hostages were located in operations today. Meanwhile, tens of thousands of Palestinians have been forced to flee as aid groups warn the humanitarian crisis in the Strip is only set to deepen. Ukrainian President Zelensky laid flowers at a memorial site in Kyiv today, honoring the victims of the latest Russian attack on the city. Officials say the confirmed death toll from missile and drone strikes early Thursday now stands at least 23, including 4 children. It came as the U.S. has been pushing for a deal to end the fighting and as allies discuss security guarantees for Ukraine. There are concerns today about the well-being of RCMP officers. A new report says the number of Mounties on long-term sick leave has surged by 184% over the past 15 years. The data comes from the RCMP Management Advisory Board. It found from January 2010 to January of 2025, the number of regular members on extended leave rose from less than 3% to more than 8%. At the beginning of this year, 7% of the force was on leave due to illness, injury, or disability lasting more than 30 consecutive days. The report estimates the cost of having 7% of members off duty is roughly $58 million. A jewelry store in Ontario is using smoke and mirrors as an added layer of security.
You can't see your hand in front of your face, so you can't steal what you can't see.
You just want to do anything you can to try and delay them and slow them down. It's not like we're trying to, incapacitate them or something. We just want to give the police time to get here.
Ancaster Jewelers is using a smokescreen system to slow down any potential thieves. Once the hold-up button is pushed, a non-toxic fog comes down into the store for 30 seconds. The system was installed 9 months after a smash-and-grab robbery at the store. The company selling this system says it's commonly used overseas and is starting to catch on here in Canada. Researchers are warning about the decline of the Monarch butterfly. They're calling on Canada, the U.S. and Mexico to take immediate action. A new study finds the butterfly's population has dropped from 90 million to 40 million in recent years. And in the 1990s, the population was more than 300 million. The researchers say one main problem is the lack of milkweed, the plant monarchs use to breed. Europe's most active volcano is at it again. Here's a look at Mount Etna's latest eruption, offering a dramatic show for residents and visitors on the Italian island of Sicily this morning. Drone footage captured the streams of glowing lava oozing down the slopes. The eruption did force officials to close off sections of the landmark. Areas above 2,500 meters were put off limits after the automatic alert system noted increased volcanic activity. The Quebec government is planning to ban prayer in public places. We'll explain why and hear some of the fiery reaction when we return.
Day 2 of the Labor Day long weekend is Sunday, of course. 31, the hot high, mostly sunny into Monday, Labor Day, 27 degrees. And again, I've been talking about this all week, but it bears repeating. The first day of meteorological fall is Monday, and it starts off very warm. But then by Tuesday, wow, what a difference. 19 degrees under a mix of sun and cloud. Chance of showers or a thunderstorm. 14 Wednesday, back up to 19 degrees under a mix of sun and cloud on Thursday.
Sunday is International Overdose Awareness Day, and it was commemorated today at the Manitoba Legislature. Advocacy groups today unveiled a memorial stone to honor the lives lost to drug overdose. Overdose Awareness Day brings attention to the issue and reduces the stigma of drug-related deaths. It also acknowledges the grief felt by families and friends of those who have died. The Manitoba Harm Reduction Network wants to see better strategies in place to prevent overdoses.
Because a drug poisoning is 100% preventable. So when we know we can prevent it, you know, it's hard coming together to honor people who died last year when we know they could all be alive still.
The Manitoba Harm Reduction Network says since 2014, 2,500 Manitobans have died from a drug overdose. It's lobbying for safe consumption services and more treatment options for people using stimulants. Anticipation is building ahead of this weekend's Labor Day Classic in Regina.
It's the battle on the prairies. Like, there's nothing better than watching those two teams go head-to-head every single year. There's always a lot of grit, a lot of passion.
Best rivalry in the CFL, hands down. It's mainly the fan base, the bickering, the banter, but at the end of the day, it's all love. It's all love with the game, right?
The Bombers are on a roll right now. They're on a 2-game win streak. I gotta go. The Bombers are gonna go 35-27.
They are gonna win. The Riders lost last game, so I feel like they're going towards a slump right now. I'd say 28-7, Bombers.
The Bombers will take on the Rough Riders Sunday at Mosaic Stadium.
CTV Skywatch weather brought to you by South Beach Casino and Resort. Visit southbeachcasino.ca.
CTV weather specialist Colleen Brady has your complete Skywatch weather forecast. And Colleen, it's super hot here in the south, but up north as well.
It's pretty remarkable. 29 degrees was the highest temperature here in Winnipeg. I was just looking at some of our northern communities. Lynn Lake got past 32 degrees. It's just staggering. 32.2 degrees in the 4 o'clock hour. It's still 32 in Lynn Lake. And to give you some perspective, the normal daytime high for Lynn Lake for this time of year is 16. I've been talking about this over the last couple of days. An upper ridge of high pressure basically parked over Western Canada has been keeping the sky relatively clear. Those temperatures very warm and the winds reasonably light. Not much happening on the radar, although seeing this little guy pop here, this suggests there may be a very isolated thunderstorm not too far from Dolphin there. You can see, and there was another one right in the southwest corner that looks like it's just moved off into North Dakota. Maybe a little bit of rain passing through Alonzo, but that's it. Otherwise, you can see it's quite clear. Conditions overall quite stable, but heat warnings have been triggered over the last few days for areas west of Manitoba. Well, it came our turn to join the party, if you will. Later on this afternoon, we had Environment and Climate Change Canada issue those heat warnings for parts of central and northwestern Manitoba. Humidex values well into the weekend will feel as warm as 37, hence the warning there. So very strong daytime highs. Actual air temperatures will be very warm, but when you factor in that humidity, it will feel even warmer in parts of northern and central parts of the province. It will be very warm here in the south all throughout the long weekend too. As we get into Saturday afternoon, we'll move through this futurecast very quickly because you know what? There's not an awful lot to show you. That high pressure is just going to keep the sky clear and it's going to keep the temperatures quite warm. For tonight for Winnipeg, we drop down to 15 degrees, just a few clouds along the way. Light winds out of the south at 10 kilometers an hour, shifting slightly tomorrow morning, but even brighter skies tomorrow. Sunshine, 17 degrees in the morning, all the way up to a very warm high of 31 degrees. Winnipeg's normal high for this time of year is closer to 22. Once we get into the afternoon, the winds will shift. They'll come out of the northwest, but they don't strengthen, so they won't have any effect on the temperatures whatsoever, and they won't create much of a breeze either, by the way. Saturday tomorrow, the UV index for Winnipeg is 6 or high. Up into the northeast tonight, there will be varying amounts of cloud in Churchill, Gillam, down into Island Lake, but likely to see fog developing through those communities. A few clouds over Thompson, down to 12 there. Sunshine around the region tomorrow, very warm temperatures, 31 for Thompson, Churchill up to 25. A big difference from today where temperatures actually fell there. A few clouds at most over the northwest tonight, overnight lows in the mid-teens, bright and sunny and very warm again. Upper 20s, low 30s highs for Saturday. In the southwest tonight, Brandon, Neepawa down to 12, 14 for Dolphin and Swan River, just a few clouds at most. Abundant sunshine, hot highs in the low 30s. Winnipeg in the southeast, a few clouds tonight, overnight lows in the mid-teens. Sunny here too, again with hot highs, upper 20s, low 30s. Fog expected overnight in northwestern Ontario. Sunshine there and temperatures heating up as well, 27, 28 degrees there. Our first weather photo takes us north of Rosenfeld. The wheat is being harvested there, says Denise, and that's not too far from Altona, to the north of Altona. And this photo is from Shelley looking out onto beautiful Lake of the Woods from her perspective at Morrison, Ontario. Send us your weather photos to winnipegweather@ctv.ca.
Quebec wants to ban public prayer. In reaction to that, today came fast and furious. Quebec says it's about promoting a secular society, but the Muslim community says it's being targeted, and others say it's just more politics. Sweta Rassi reports.
According to the CAQ government, prayers held in public has become a sensitive and serious issue, especially in Montreal. That's why the province is planning to ban public prayers. But for the head of the National Council of Canadian Muslims, there's an obvious target.
Oh, the target is absolutely the Muslim community, because the exact same thing is happening with other communities, but they don't talk about it.
In December, the CAQ expressed unease with people praying in public. Stephen Brown says when it comes to pro-Palestinian demonstrators, organizers have permits to allow them to use the space.
What are we going to start doing in Quebec? Mandating that you get your messaging approved by the government before you're given a permit to go protest?
This comes in the wake of an independent committee that provided 50 recommendations to the Quebec government on how to strengthen secularism. And while the report stopped short of recommending a provincial ban on public prayers, it did say it should be up to the municipalities to decide. Côte St. Luc Mayor Mitchell Brownstein applauds the move.
Municipalities know their communities best, and we certainly would not allow it to happen blocking a street or in other situations. It has to be reasonable. You can't block a complete street and stop life.
However, Brown believes the ban is merely a political move.
This is a government that is looking for a win a year out from an election in order to boost its poll numbers.
Political analyst Tom Mulcair agrees.
It's also a reflection of the fact that the CAQ government is in deep trouble, and any port in a storm. They know that this is something that they can ride with a good part of their base, and they'll hope to try to get their voters back.
In a statement to CTV News, Secularism Minister Jean-François Roberge said, "The Premier of Quebec has given me the mandate to strengthen secularism, and I am determined to fulfill that mandate diligently." Roberge says come fall, he will officially introduce a bill to ban public prayers. Sweta Rassi, CTV News.
Your doctor can then tell you what that PSA signifies.
It's one of the most common cancers in men, and if it's caught early, highly treatable. Next in Medical Watch, what to know if you're at high risk for prostate cancer. We're now about 2 weeks away from this year's annual Terry Fox Run in support of cancer research. Here in Manitoba, more than 24 community runs are planned for September 14th. Joining me now to discuss is Fred Fox, Terry Fox's brother. Fred, thank you so much for joining me.
Great to be with you. Thank you.
You know, Fred, I understand that you've been touring a handful of locations in Winnipeg and Manitoba this week. How's that been going?
It's been an awesome week so far. I arrived in Winnipeg on Wednesday afternoon, and we had a full day in the afternoon, evening, and then yesterday we were out, drove to the southeast corner of the province, to Vassar, and visited a dedicated, passionate Terry Foxer who's been organizing the run in Vassar for 45 years. So it's been a cool few days.
Well, as you say, this year marks the 45th anniversary of the Terry Fox Run. Why do you think that your brother's legacy continues to have such an enduring impact in our country?
You know, I think so many people, remember what it was like to watch Terry 45 years ago, and they saw that honesty, that integrity. All these years later now, of course, so many new generations are learning about Terry in their schools and doing Terry Fox runs. And I think the common denominator in all of that is we've all been touched by cancer, and we remember how Terry gave of himself, sacrificed every mile that he ran in 1980 to make a difference in the lives of so many people with cancer.
Absolutely. Would you talk to me about the work that the Terry Fox Foundation does and where the donation money goes?
Yeah, you know, when Terry was diagnosed at 18 in 1977, almost 50 years ago, he saw and learned that not a lot of money was going to cancer research. So he wanted to change that. And today, all these years later, Canada has now some of the best cancer researchers in the world, and in Canada, here in Manitoba, some amazing stuff is being done through Terry Fox Foundation monies that are raised. Researchers across the country are now working together, collaborating, sharing ideas, sharing data with each other, and getting closer every single day in finding those answers about cancer to maybe get us closer to a cure.
What would you like people to know about this year's run and how they can donate?
Yeah, easy to participate. And it's called the Terry Fox Run, but it's not about running. You can walk, get the kids out there, push a stroller, ride a bike, get out there, raise money for cancer research. That's what Terry wanted all of us to do. And, go to the website, terryfox.org, and you can register there, form a team, get friends, family, workmates involved, and just get as many people out there as you can to continue Terry's work.
It must be very gratifying for you to see the country embracing his legacy and, as you said, coming together to help raise money for cancer research.
You bet. And that's what Terry wanted to do. Didn't matter what province he was in as he was making his way towards home in British Columbia, but he was trying to bring people together in this common goal of making a difference, raising money for cancer research. And, not only here in Canada, at the end of September, I'm going to be heading to Europe and doing Terry Fox runs in the Netherlands, in Germany, in Ireland, and Wales, and in Belgium. So, Terry's legacy, his determination, and his inspiration is not only here in Canada, but around the world.
Fred Fox is Terry Fox's brother and a leader in continuing his brother's legacy in the fight against cancer. Fred, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks so much for sharing and allowing us to talk about Terry.
More than 750,000 pressure washers linked to dozens of injuries are being recalled in Canada and the United States. Involves the Ryobi branded brushless electric pressure washers. In the U.S., there have been 135 reports of the product's capacitor overheating and even exploding in some cases. More than 30 people have also reported injuries. 16,000 units were sold in Canada. If you own one, health officials are urging people to stop using it immediately and go to the company's website to request a free repair kit. About 1 in 8 men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer in their lifetime, according to the American Cancer Society. If it's caught early, it's highly treatable, but many experts say that many people aren't aware of the symptoms.
If somebody is diagnosed with prostate cancer when it's still confined to the prostate, then the chances of you being alive at 5 years is 100% from prostate cancer.
The Ohio State University Comprehensive Cancer Center says later stage symptoms of the disease may include frequent urination, trouble emptying the bladder, blood in urine, pelvic pain, and sexual dysfunction.
Thankfully, a majority of the prostate cancer here in the U.S. are picked up when they don't have any, when patients don't have any symptoms through screening.
Since there are often no symptoms in early stages of the disease, Fullfax says those at high risk should talk to their doctor about being screened. That includes anyone with a family history of prostate cancer and people with medical conditions that may make the disease hard to treat if found.
Medical Watch is brought to you by Manuke and Koster Denture Clinic.
We have a really big, flourishing community here in Winnipeg.
It's one of the biggest weekends of the year for comic book lovers. Everything you need to know about the Prairie Comics Festival, plus your full weekend events calendar coming up in Spotlight.
Spotlight, sponsored by the Casinos of Winnipeg, presenting Tom Papa.
Graphic novels are becoming more and more popular with adults, and a festival coming up is celebrating the art form. It's called the Prairie Comics Festival. Creators, artists, lovers of graphic novels will be gathering for the two-day event. There will be 90 exhibitors, making it the largest festival yet, and half are from Manitoba. The festival's artistic director says the local graphic novel community is growing every year.
We have a really big, flourishing community here in Winnipeg and in the province as well. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger every year, which is why our festival keeps getting bigger every year. And it's just so cool to see all of the different stories coming out.
The Prairie Comics Festival runs next weekend, September 6th and 7th at the Manitoba Museum, and admission is free. Well, it is the last weekend before the kids head back to school, and here's a look at just some of the events taking place in Manitoba. A Taste of Manitoba serves up community, culture, and cuisine over at Fort Gibraltar. Falcon Lake Fun Fest features a midway and more. Rossburn has a rodeo and harvest festival, while Ashern hosts its own rodeo. Dalnavert Museum celebrates its 130th anniversary with Dalnavert Days. Enjoy Fall on the Farm at the Mennonite Heritage Village. Seven Oaks House Museum hosts a concert on the veranda featuring the Manitoba Chamber Orchestra. Assiniboine Park wraps up its summer concert series with Attica Riots and the Haleys. And tonight, a downtown family movie in Bonnycastle Park includes the 2024 film The Wild Robot. The movie starts at 8:30. It is a K-pop world, and fans are happily living in it.
The world will know you as pop stars. But you will be much more than that.
Get this, the soundtrack for Netflix's K-pop Demon Hunters has 4 songs in the Billboard Hot 100 Top 10 simultaneously. Now, that's the first time any soundtrack album has achieved the feat. The soundtrack itself is currently #2 on the Billboard 200 album chart, and with a CD out now to augment streaming totals, taking the #1 spot could just be a matter of time. Your primetime lineup starts at 7 with Celebrity Jeopardy, then at 8, neighborhood disputes, and all the drama that goes with them come your way with back-to-back episodes of Fear Thy Neighbor.
A welcome surprise off the coast of California. How many dolphins put on a show for some delighted tourists when we return.
Women's clothing provided by R.W. & Company. Salon services provided by S. Antique Spa Salon.
28 degrees in Winnipeg right now. Light winds out of the southwest at 5 kilometers and a little bit of light cloud out there too. When you factor in the humidex, why not? It feels like 33. 29 degrees was the highest temperature of the day. 36.1 the record for August 29th, set in 1972. Tonight, just a few clouds at most, light winds, 15 is the low. Then the long weekend. Check this out. Sunshine Saturday and Sunday, both days, hot highs of 31 degrees, 27 on Labor Day Monday. There is the outside chance of a shower or thunderstorm. Lesser chance on Tuesday, but lesser temperatures too. Take a look at that, John.
Looks nice. Some incredible video to show you now. Passengers on a whale watching tour in California got a very special treat. Take a look at that. A stampede of more than 100 dolphins was spotted racing alongside their whale-watching vessel just off the coastline from Newport Beach.
Wow.
Now, some of the dolphins launched themselves more than 10 feet into the air. Passengers say they were absolutely thrilled by the energetic display. And it is pretty energetic. That's incredible.
Did they ever get their money's worth? Look at that height. It's really spectacular.
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, dolphins, and they're very smart as well. They must have known what they were doing.
They have it all.
They have it all. Thanks so much. We will see you again at 11:30. Good night.